Then he has asked me a question, how do I analyze an investment? The first thing I look at is opportunity. Without opportunities, there can be no economic activity, and without economic activity, there can be no profit. For example, when I look at Colgate, I look at the present demand for toothpaste in India and the potentiality for the growth in demand for toothpaste. So I first look at opportunity. I want to invest where demand naturally exists. Then I look at competitive ability. You know, in a capitalist society or a free society, you cannot make profits just one opportunity. You got to be competitive, you got to be profitable. Those profits can be driven by technology, they can be driven, I think culture is very important in a company. They can be driven by culture. They can be driven by barriers which could arise because of maybe taxes, location, capital. So I try and try and understand a company and zero on in its competitive ability or what it already has in relation to the opportunity and the price. Third, what I look at is, my friend said, should I invest in large cap companies or small cap companies? I said, no, we should invest in the small cap companies which will become the large caps. What do you need for that? You need scalability. How does a small organization grow into a large organization, right? When I invested in Titan at 500 crores, I made a lot of money partly because Titan today is 11,000 crore company. And great are the challenges of scaling, capital, ambition. So it is very, very important to judge whether the company will be able to scale. I call it scalability. Then of course I look for management, and then how do you find out whether you have good management or not. I invest in a jewelry company, I invest in a software company, I invest in a hotel company, I invest in a footwear company. Finally, I think we invest out of informed ignorance. We have some information, but that is very limited in relation to what our ignorance is. So finally, we invest out of intuition. So then you have to intuitively feel, and every management carries a reputation. I think that what is also very important is corporate governance. What kind of corporate governance? And I define corporate governance as how the company views all stakeholders, whether society, whether employees, whether shareholders.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like our content.